Hi, what's your name?
Tina Dortch.
Tina, good to know you.
Good to know you, Chris.
Okay, why don't we start off and give me a little background. Tell me about yourself.
Wonderful. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I am the product of some very industrious, hard-working folks. I've been surrounded by that type of personality my entire life, and it has left an imprint on me.
Okay.
Let's go a little bit forward, and I'll talk to you about my experiences with my education. I hold both a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and both of those educational experiences provided me with backgrounds in process and procedure improvements, business principles, and urban development and planning. My initial professional experiences, they started very early on when I was an undergraduate. Had a lot of expectations, mostly placed on myself, and I was simultaneously doing work-study programs. I interned at the state capitol with one of the legislators and had to maintain a GPA for an academic scholarship. And quite honestly, Chris, that provided structure for me, and I thrived in that environment. I didn't find it stressful. In fact, I really looked forward to it, and it helped me and helps me even today. Now, my professional experience, if I had to sum it up right now, I would say the municipal sector, the governmental sector, and development. Okay. That's been the basic areas in which I've worked. And the kind of skill sets that I've used, and I've had to do project management, executive level administration, and inter-office operations, as well as a lot of entrepreneurial endeavors. Those have been my favorite. And here I sit today, and I'm ready to do the same, keep going, and just do better and bigger things.
Well, if I ask you what your leadership style was, how do you get the most out of you?
Chris, leadership style, I would sum that up with a formula if I could, and it's 1 part motivation and 2 parts orchestration. Motivation to me is something that's measurable. I'm not talking about the illogical, emotional, abstract. I'm talking about a true transference of energy. And I'm very sincere about that. I think that energetic personnel are productive personnel. And I strive to do that. And one way I motivate people is a little anecdote that I've learned from some salespersons in my past. And they always told me, and I tell my staff, that no doesn't always mean no. The first 5 times you hear no, think of it as not yet, an opportunity for a course correction, maybe tomorrow, let's talk again, and finally a yes. And people tend to thrive when they have an opportunity to make that kind of a correction, because let's be honest, you're going to hear no. And as a manager, as a leader, you have to help people move through no, because no can definitely be a drain of energy.
Absolutely.
Now, that last part of the formula was orchestration. Orchestration to me is comprised of command, and that's something that I really enjoy. When I have the ability to take a stance and move people towards that direction, that's command. And then the second part of that is directive. People, I believe, and I've found in my experience, they tend to thrive when they have that directive. And if I can give them that, at the end of the day, Chris, you're going to see results, you're going to see outcomes, you're going to see success and profit.
Well, let me ask you about that. Now, you mentioned results. Let's reflect back and give me an example of where that's worked. I mean, maybe an accomplishment.
Well, I'm a results-driven person. Some of those educational backgrounds like TQM practices and things, they're all about results. And working at one of my most favorite opportunities was an appointment by Dennis Archer. He was the mayor of the city of Detroit, a very honorable man, and I was very pleased to have that appointment as an executive assistant. Well, there were 6 of us, and they coined us ATMs, assistants to the mayors, and we became a brotherhood. We had a little fraternity of sorts. We did golf outings together, so we had a cohesive relationship that was pretty powerful. The Mayor Archer administration was tasked with coming up with core service deliveries and how to better improve them and to make sure they fit budgetary constraints. Well, the ATMs were called in, and we were just told to create some way to measure this, to measure and monitor. And we came up with a system called MAPS, Measurement and Assessment Performance. And we created per our own departments. I had 6 departments under my jurisdiction. They were all the internal service areas like human resources, finance, budget, IT, human resources, and law. And I would go to each of my 6 departments, and I would work with individuals that I had to hand select and come up with indicators. Now, performance indicators, there's a science to that. Most people don't realize it, but there's truly a science, and they have to be measurable, and they have to be uniquely relevant. So after each of the ATMs had their collective indicators, it came back to me again because the IT department was under my jurisdiction, and we created the networked database. So we could produce on-time, reliable reports. We could then use this with our individual department heads to make corrections to the way they were delivering these services, and the finance department could then make budgetary decisions and recommendations to the mayor.
Okay.
And I'd like to think that when Mr. Archer decided not to seek re-election, he did present me with a proclamation, and it was for my service to the city. And I'd like to think that it was those type of projects for which he was recognizing me.
Well, you probably already answered this, but I guess bottom line, why should a company hire you?
Well, I'd like to say that I bring a big bang for the buck. When someone hires me, I can do one of two things. I can be a team leader, and by that I can help craft vision for a corporation, sometimes where there's no blueprint. In fact, I kind of like it that way. It's a bit of a challenge, but blueprint or not, I can help craft vision. And if the need arises that I need to be a diligent team member, then you're going to see someone carry out that vision and do it to the best of their ability. Another thing, I think that mutually beneficial relationships. If someone hired me, they're going to find someone who works very hard for the employer, for the team, for my own personal ambitions and endeavors, because when those individuals are looking good, I feel great.
Okay. Very good. Well, Tina, I certainly appreciate your time.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, thanks a lot.